sure. And the other one, I think my instinct is the same. I'd back the home team. It's Leinster v Munster in the RDS, not in the Aviva Stadium.
Yep. As it was last year.
As it was last year.
Yeah.
Which is good, I suppose. It gives adds a sense of grandeur to the final when you get there.
But I feel like both teams are very desperate to win this.
This is where all that talk of like the diminishing rivalry between these two clubs is now out the window in fixtures like this when it's finals footy and they're together. Yeah. Both sides really could do with a win here. Trophyless seasons for both teams are considered.
For different reasons. I mean, Leinster don't want to be like it would if they lost this week. There would be like a massive inquiry that this is another big step back. Yeah, and a trophyless season is like a big no-no. A big no-no, and like also another home non-victory, which like the RDS as a fortress has been diminished by the selection of some seconds in recent weeks. Has done no service to our home record. Yeah, and it's something that they've been emphasising in the week. The players is putting a performance together for the RDS fans because they feel like they owe them one. Yeah, and I think they're probably right. They probably do. They've saved their biggest performances for the Aviva this year. Yeah. So I think they'd be keen to do that. But obviously, if Munster come to town and win that game, that'll be the ignominy of it would be massive. But from Munster's perspective, I mean, they've obviously had this terrible news with Felix Jones, but they're just Flannery. It's just another year of defeats. In semi-finals would kill them. I mean, it's just they've taken no steps forward. They're just not quite good enough to make a final. When was the last time Munster were in a final? Forever ago. They may have won it the last time they were in a final. No, they lost to Scarlets back in 2017. Yes, that's right. Yeah, but I mean they're not. They haven't been at the level where other sides have been going above and beneath them and above and beneath them, and they've been consistently not making a final. So I think a semi-final victory for Munster would just be so huge. For the club, and not just against Leinster, but also the fact that it's against Leinster, and also the fact that against Leinster would be so huge for them. Yeah. All of that said, I don't know if they have the rugby to do it, because that's probably not. That's what's going to decide this. I feel like who's going to play a better game of rugby on the day, and that's probably going to be Leinster. Yeah, their defence is stellar, and that'll concern their centre defence will concern Leinster coming off the back of that shutout against Saracens, whereby if Farrell shows the same kind of defensive hunger and intensity, they could stymie us and cause some problems there in that area for sure. You could certainly see Farrell's defence getting the better of Ringrose's attack. In current form, that's what's going down. But that being said, even if Munster do manage to get the upper hand and for periods of it, you just wouldn't back their ability to score the try when it comes time to score tries in semi-finals. That's what they don't do, and it's their shape, as we've been harping on all year, and we've kind of seen signs of them trying to implement little more screen balls and stuff in the latter part of the year. But you just get the impression looking at it that it's like, oh shit, they've actually panicked and realised now it's like, oh, we need to be doing something else, and it's all very it has a loose, clunky pre-season look to it, as opposed to like when you juxtapose what Saracens do with what Munster are trying to implement. I mean, it's 3 or 4 leagues beneath it. And Leinster's defence are elite enough to hold Saris at bay for extended periods, so you'd think that what Munster have to offer, barring like an egregious missed tackle letting them in, or a loose turnover or something and then pouncing on it, you don't think that they're going to manufacture enough through the multi-phase to create tries. From Leinster's perspective, the game, for my money, there's a couple of curious questions. I mean, I think they're going to be very keen to right wrongs. They've wrongs. They love the idea of like making up for and improving on poor areas. They have wrongs to improve with ball in hand. They have wrongs to improve with the RDS. They've obviously that game against Munster, and then they obviously they just don't want to. They need silverware, so they've a lot mentally riding on this game. In terms of breaking Munster down, I think the offensive breakdown is the first port of call. Munster are comical in the way that they try to slow you up and jackal the ball at every breakdown, from the side, from the tackler, from guys after the ruck is formed. They just put somebody puts their hands in every single ruck. Usually it's Peter O'Mahony, but for the most part they're just illegally trying to spoil the ball. The first port of call there is tell the ref pre-game that this is what Munster are going to be doing. It's illegal, don't let them do it. But you never know. Sometimes a lot of the time this year, a theme of the season is Munster getting away with things that you couldn't conceive that any side could get away with, and they have been. So from Leinster's perspective, it's about resourcing that area heavily with two blokes,
people in with the carrier,
getting some quick ruck ball. From a selection point of view, you'd like to see Gibson Park maybe re-enter the fray. You'd definitely like to see Ed Byrne back in over Jack McGrath on the bench.
Yeah, because Munster scrum's not to be trifled with.
No, indeed, and Porter back would be a bonus as well.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's rumours that Josh could be back in the mix, which it feels like is probably too early.
Yeah, it would be.
My instinct is that if they have who they had last week to select, they might benefit from putting Ruddock at 7 and leaving Shawnee on the bench.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Shawnee more likely to go on tilt than Ruddock against them as well.
Yeah, and more likely to miss tackles and be tired after last week.
Yeah, potentially. He
was tired by the time he went off last week.
Definitely.
Yeah, whereas Ruddock is actually probably hungry for some games.
Yeah.
And I think does have a nice ability to
He has a big physical
Munster.
game in him, the same way he performs well against South Africa. He's always good for those big contests.
Exactly. He'll only be loving it.
Yeah.
The fringe defence of Munster is very good, and so
and their scrum's very good, and their line-out's very good, and their defensive line-out is very good, which is a concern for Leinster because their 100%. Offensive line-out has not been so good.
It paints the question, like we're very much advocates of the try in the old 3 points versus tries debate. So it's definitely a question. I'm not sure what the answer is, but if you're talking about early kickable penalties for Leinster that could be plugged into the corner, like there's definitely a couple of ways to look at it. I mean, 3 points is 3 points. It's so it very much requires on a good exit to be valuable.
Yes.
And you definitely need that exit. Otherwise, they're almost not worth it.
Yeah.
But if you go for the corner, if you score the try, and then maybe if you get 1 or 2 tries ahead of Munster, generally speaking, that's game over. They can't respond in kind with tries. But if you don't score it, and all of a sudden there's a big momentum shift, and all of a sudden Leinster are frustrated and that's thinking about the 3 points they didn't take, and thinking about the play they didn't execute, and Munster are tails up and buoyed. So there's definitely a dilemma there.
But
in this
then,
game more than
a lot
others.
of times, just the kicking to the corner, if you're accurate enough against a Munster side, will mean that the breaking point won't be you messing it up. It'll be them giving away penalty advantage, then another penalty advantage, and then if you manage to hold the ball long enough for it to be a third penalty advantage, then it's a yellow card. And then yellow card would be lovely against Munster because you feel then you can grab that try and get that lead. I just like you're saying,
don't rely on refs to penalise them. I mean, they should be given cards in every game the way they play, but they don't. So yeah, it's a curious little dilemma. They're obviously going to have to be wary of Sexton. They can't just use him as a 10 because Munster hit him late every time. So they're going to have to just move him in behind the back line. Aim to get the ball a little wider for starters.
Outside Farrell.
Outside
Farrell, and then there's softness everywhere.
So exactly. So you want to get
Sexton as second receiver.
Sexton as second receiver is exactly right, and he's the guy making the plays, and even Ringrose is in behind that, wider again, because Farrell is their big defensive playmaker, and Scannell inside him is an excellent defender.
No, he is very canny and very physical.
If you can get outside of those centres, I think that's where you got a bit of purchase. Whoever's playing, I mean, Earls loves to shoot. And then if it's Sweetenham, there's just a little bit of softness there that you can get him behind, and obviously it's a recipe for success if Leinster's wingers, be they Jimmy Lowe or even Dave Carney, get on the ball, and Larmour obviously. Larmour with a good little history against Munster.
He scored some crackers against them.
So it would be nice to get those guys in a bit of space, and I think Leinster will be and should be keen to do that. But if they take the game to the physical place, I mean, I think that's a recipe for it being tight, but Leinster probably would back themselves as against Toulouse just to get it done. But I don't like that either. No. What I'm looking for is I definitely want to see it's a big week for Gary Ringrose. He needs to thoroughly improve on his showing last week. And I kind of back him to do that, to be honest, to show something in response kind of ways, just because I feel he's that kind of player. It'll be eating him up just how much he underperformed by his own standards. He's smart enough to understand how much he underperformed as well,
and how much it affected everything we were doing. So
certainly,
and I think that Henshaw looks in flying form.
Henshaw looks in flying form.
Very physical. I think he'll be getting stuck into Scannell, testing that channel early,
and trying to shut down what Scannell does.
Trying to sit down.
Scannell is a guy who almost plays like a 10, and he's been invaluable since Joey Carberry's been injured. Now we believe Joey's back this week, but in the Tyler Blindall period of the season for Munster. I mean, I think that Scannell has been really great at just sitting back and being that second 10, and he's actually been better at doing the Rog work than Tyler Blindall up in those corners. So if Henshaw can get in his face, that definitely changes things. He might be inclined to sort of dovetail and take the contact behind the gain line, which is exactly what Leinster want.
That's the picture they want to be painting. Robbie Henshaw will be key for shutting down what is a pretty impotent Munster multi-phase, but the shooting and kind of marauding defence led by Henshaw would be a good picture if we can get it going.
Exactly. From Munster's perspective, Carberry's going to come in. Joey Factor
That's
can
huge,
always be a factor.
Big X factor.
Mine's like, I don't know if they can put together an attack that can get outside Leinster's defence in however the month that they've been trying it. I think that they're kicking the ball. I think they're using Joey's boot and they're using Scannell's boot, and they're pegging the ball into Leinster's half, looking for cross and looking for touch. I don't think the air is as good a play.
I don't know, but
they do have a Chris Farrell who can win those balls in the air for sure. But I think especially when you're looking at Joey Carberry and Murray Scannell, they're not bomb booters. I mean, Murray will exit with the box kick. We know that will happen. But when they have the ball in the middle of the field, it's putting the ball in the corner and then giving Peter O'Mahony the incentive to try and steal the Leinster line out. Both the Leinster hookers, Tracy and Cronin, can get the wiggles at line out time.
They do.
So that's a winning picture for Munster, is pegging Leinster back, getting the territory game going, and picking off their line-outs, and then
Tygburn at 4 and Peter O'Mahony at 2, and just spoiling.
And they will, so
it'll be there to try and spoil, but my instinct tells me that Leinster, with a lot to prove, will have too much for them. Certainly in the RDS as well.
Probably, but the dominating of the breakdown for Munster will be massive as well. If Munster can get on top in the breakdown, if they can get some collision wins, like Tygburn, big week for him, CJ Stander, big week for him, Peter O'Mahony, big week for him, and then obviously I'm just
Joey.
I'm obviously looking forward to just the scrum. I don't know who's going to get the better. I don't even know if it'll be crucial because both sides are so good. But it's just always fun seeing good scrumming.
Good scrumming
between
two proper scrumming.
I love when scrums get high level. It gets so curious. Guys who you're so used to seeing dominate their opponents. John Ryan is going to want to right some wrongs from Mako Vunapola's lesson to him.
It's true. But he'll be up against Cian Healy.
He'll be up against Cian Healy, which is not an easier task.
No, it's not.
Cian Healy may be a little tired after last week, but he did put on a
presumably 50-minute shift. But they've
been in the ice baths since then and been getting
his rest and rehab. And got his food on and all that.
There's certainly no hangover for Leinster. I can't imagine they went out and drank or did anything after that.
No Alex Good fucking 3-day bender going on, not in the Leinster camp anyway.
No, indeed. That's something that the Premiership teams might enjoy, is just the idea that's the value of having one more regular season game. And the season is that the Sarries boys can all get absolutely locked post European victory and not have to worry about what's coming next. My instinct says Leinster as well. I think they're probably just the better rugby team. Munster have what it takes to stymie Leinster's attack, maybe get them top of the breakdown with some generous calls and ping them in the corners and steal some ball, maybe get on the right side of the ref. They can get some penalties and then maybe
possibly one try.
One try that could break the back of the game. That's their picture, but my instinct says that Leinster will
find 1 or 2 tries and be ahead.
I'd really love to see someone just, if they pick low, I'd love to see someone getting on his shoulder, getting the offload game going again. The offload game is disappeared. I mean, Tyg Furlong is someone who tries it a lot, and then I was kind of laughing because I'm so desperate to see us getting our own offload in the Tyg game like Saracens do. But at the weekend, I remember watching him right in front of us. He went through one contact and he had a ball in one hand and he was looking to get it free. And then all of a sudden George Cruz arrived and ripped the ball off him and stunned. It was just Saracens, those bastards
doing some good rugby at us. Don't come here throwing that good rugby our way. I suspect the task at hand, beating Munster, it'll be a slight step down compared to that, and I think Leinster will get the job done. And so that'll tee us up for potentially a Leinster-Glasgow final or a Glasgow-Leinster final. Should our predictions come true over in Celtic Park.
I think that's probably what will happen. That's the bookies' favourites, but there could be shocks for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All good sides. Thanks for watching the Overlap Rugby podcast. If you want to subscribe, there should be a button up here. Don't forget to give us a like and share with your friends, and please leave comments down below. We love the conversation. Thanks.